Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I explain my presentation, let me introduce myself first. My name is Alrazie Busrian from Bogor. I'm a student in Corporate Management Study Program. It's a great opportunity to be here. Okay, and I hope we always healthy in this situation where we are being hit by a global pandemic COVID-19. Uh, okay, first outline my topic will be given for part. Uh, Part 1 is about definition about trade war. Part 2 is basic of trade war. Part 3 pro and cons. Part 4 uh, real example in this world about trade war. So let's do my first point of my topic, and that is a definition of trade war. Uh, Trade war happens when one country retaliates against another by raising import tariff or placing other restriction on the opposing country's import. A tariff is a tax duty imposed on the goods imported into a nation. In a global economy, a trade war can become very damaging to the consumer and business of both nations, and the contagion can grow to affect many of both economic and trade war are side effect to profit protectionism, which are government action and politics that restriction international trade. A country will generally undertake protectionism action with the intent of the shielding domestic business and job from foreign competition. Protectionism is also a method used to balance trade deficit. A trade deficit happens when a country import exceed the amount of its exports. And the second point is about the basic of trade war. The trade war basic can commence if one country perceives a competitor nation as unfair trading practices. Domestic trade unions or industry lobbyists can place pressure can politicians to make imported goods less attractive to consumers, pushing internationally policy toward a trade war. And also, trade wars are often a result of a misunderstanding of the widespread benefits of free trade war. And a trade war that begin in one sector can grow to affect other sector. Like with trade war that begins between two countries can affect other countries not initially involved in the trade war. As not above, his import tit for tat battle can result from protectionism. Hansen. A trade war is distinct from other action taken to control import and export, such as sanction. Instead, the trade war has a specificity to trade, and the sanction, for example, may also have goals and additional to tariff. Protectionism policies can be implemented by placing a cap or imported quotas, setting clear products standard, or implementing government subsidies for a process that outsourcing. Okay, in my uh, third point, I will talk about the pro and cons, the advantage and disadvantage of trade war in particular and protectionism in general are the subject of fierce ongoing debate. Okay, the pros about the trade war. Number one is protect domestic companies from unfair competition, because we're talking about a free competition. If it's not protect, then we don't know whether our domestic companies are losing competitive or not. And number two, increase demand for domestic goods. Example, we don't know. Besides we protect ourselves, we must also improve the quality of the trade goods. The domestic products demand a very much because we speak globally. And number three, promotes local job growth. And number four, improve trade deficits. And number five, punish nation with unethical trade policies. We can know which countries are implementing very unethical trade because of this global competition. Okay, let's go to the cons on the trade war. Number one, increase costs and induce inflation. And number two, cause marketplace shortage, reduce choice. And number three, discourage trades because it will be very helpful in doing and selling because they have to pay attention to various factors for cross market because of tariff and tax play by countries that are the trade war. And number four, slow economic growth. Make the economy slow. Why? Why economic slow? Because actually the trade war, because domestic products are very concerned about profits. If the countries continues the trade war, it will make investor and companies rethink and repeat the action taken. And number five, hurts diplomatic relation, cultural exchange. Okay, and at my last point, that's about a real world example in early 2018. President Trump stepped up his efforts, particularly against Chinese, threatening a big fine over like intellectual property or IP, with a significant tariff on 500 billion US dollar worth of Chinese products such as steel, gold, and many more products. The Chinese retaliate with a to 25% tax on over 100 US products. Okay, finally, before I end it, I want to convey the conclusion. From first until last point, there is an impression that war is no longer a method of killing and geographical invasion, but in this era of war, the occupation of the country's economy and the currency war. This is war that we face now because the winner takes all. That's enough for me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.